Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of the Gravity Cancel podcast. I'm Sgt Pancakes, and joining me today is not Rocks, but Cobalt. Cobalt, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Pancakes. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, of course. So, we don't normally have guests outside of our normal every 5 episodes, but special occasion today because Rocks can't make it, and I wanted to record today, so had to find someone to fill in so I don't just talk to myself for an hour.
My time to shine.
Yeah. So it's actually probably a really good episode to have you on because we just recently got our pretty much annual balance patch.
We did,
and I won't be stumbling over whether these frame data changes are significant or insignificant. You'll be able to just tell me.
I'll do my best. I will do my best. Although it does make a lot of the videos that I've made discussing this stuff kind of outdated at this point, and that always breaks my heart.
I wanted to talk a little bit about that, but I think most of it will stay pretty normal outside of a few changes to certain attacks. So
yeah, absolutely.
So before we get into the balance patch, I wanted to talk a little bit about Ranked Season 23. This is like my 4th or 5th Ranked season. You play much Ranked?
Every Ranked season, basically how I approach it is I get to Platinum and then I stop most of the time. I usually don't have a very hard grind to get to Diamond. I've never made it, and I'm at the point where it's like, you know what, I'm good with Platinum for now.
So you've not made Diamond yet, or
no, I haven't.
I haven't either. I'm not even close, and I'm kind of the same way. I get to Platinum, and I make the push to go further, and then I hit a roadblock at like 1750 or so, and get knocked back down to like high gold.
Isn't that always how it works though? Like you always just hit a couple of people just right in a row, and it just completely demoralizes you and kills your desire to keep playing.
Yep, exactly. So I'm hoping I can break the 1800 barrier maybe this season, maybe this year, I don't know, but I'm sure it'll happen sometime.
Oh, I have no doubt, man. The highest I've ever made it was 1900, and then I got hit with a losing streak that brought me down to like 1700, and it was it killed my morale. I was like, why am I even playing this, man?
1900, you could taste Diamond at that point.
Exactly.
You're like, I'm 6-7 matches away.
Exactly. Like, I was so close, and it was at that, like, it's worse whenever you're close and then you go back down versus like, I made it to, I'm at 1700 and I lost a match. But it's like, I was so close.
Yeah. If I make it that high, like, I will grind it out, and I'm either ending up in Diamond or I'm ending up in Silver.
Dude, you'll make it. You'll make it. One of these seasons, all it takes, it's a matter of persistence. You know, it's like it's a matter of time before you get a series of opponents that you're like, oh, I can deal with these, and not just Orion.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so this season it's kind of weird because a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, they released the experimental changes. So
yes.
Like, and it affected the dodge window. It made it just universal instead of having a separate one on the ground and the air.
Right.
So like now the only place you can really play Brawlhalla 1v1 as it stands today is in ranked. So like I think I'm just gonna play a lot of ranked this season.
Yeah, that's fair, and that's one thing that I always wished that they would have was a mode that's the game as it exists now with no experimental changes, just a 1v1 queue non-ranked mode.
Yeah, no, I think they need it, and I don't think you're going to really dilute out the player base either.
Oh no, absolutely not. I play experimental more often than I do ranked.
I do as well, and I would probably swap over to a non-ranked 1v1 queue if they ever introduced it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a big fan of like playtesting stuff.
I mean, I love playtesting stuff in like the capacity that like they're giving the opportunity for this to be tested by the community before being implemented into the actual game. But like I agree that you're not playing the game as is. But I like the fact that we have that opportunity, you know?
Yeah. Just don't force me to do it to play 1v1.
1v1, exactly. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
So this season they also introduced the rotational queue of 3v3 crew battle. Have you played that at all?
I haven't, and honestly, mostly the reason for that is that I can't get two other people to play at the exact same time as me most of the time, because it's just like everybody that I know is either working or on a different schedule than me, or has a family or something like that, and I think it would be a lot better if they added in a option for, you know, just queuing in with some random.
Yeah, because you could do that in Brawl Ball queue. You could solo queue it.
Yeah.
And same with the 2v2 Kung Foot. So like, I don't know if I really agree with them choosing not to allow that option. Like, do it at your own risk, right?
Yeah, exactly. And especially since it's like it's a ranked Brawl of the Week mode, essentially. Like, the crew battle, I love crew battles. I think they are probably the best of like the Brawl of the Week that you can do. It's like, because completely honest, I absolutely hate a majority of the Brawl of the Weeks, like the bubble ball or the balloon toss or the snowball throwing or whatever. They drive me insane, and the only reason I do them is to get the gold. But like, it drives me nuts, and I love crew battle because it gives you the opportunity to play on a 1v1 basis while still playing with other people.
Yeah, exactly. And they a lot of people were asking for a crew battle ranked mode when they first announced or first released crew battle.
Yeah.
And I think it has a place in the
absolutely.
ranked queue.
Absolutely.
As like just as a core ranked mode instead of just seasonal queue. But like you said, I don't have two other friends on that I play with consistently that I would play crew battle with. So I have to go out of my way to find a third person, basically.
Yeah, and that's the worst part about it, because I mean, I want to play it, I just can't. Like, so
yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, it's just, I don't know what else to say. They need to make that change. They really do. Just need to allow you to randomly queue in and acknowledge that there's a risk involved with it.
So you said you don't like most of the Brawl of the Weeks. I do have to ask, what did you think of Street Brawl?
Oh, I loved it.
Oh my goodness, I am hooked.
That was one of the ones that was my absolute favorite, because I'm like, see, my thing about the Brawls of the Week is that so often it is basically just for lack of a better word, it's a shit show. It just ends up being like, whether or not the person that I'm playing with is decent at the game and they know what they're doing, and we don't get paired against some, you know, random people, or that I haven't played the mode before and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, it's just they're just more frustrating to me than they are enjoyable to play. Like, there's a couple of game modes that I really enjoy. Like, I love Capture the Flag. That one's awesome. Street Brawl is great. Crew battles are great. Anything that's just like kind of 1v1 that's, you know, I can deal with, like the invisible modes and like the high damage ones, because those go quickly. But whenever I'm dealing with, you know, a 2v2 snowball throwing match, I have to wait 3 minutes, and if we're getting obliterated, it's like, okay, well, time to leave here. There's no point in playing this anymore.
Yeah, not getting my win today.
Exactly.
I fell in love with Street Brawl, and was so
fun.
sad when they took it out of Brawl of the Week. I still, like, I don't ever use custom game rooms, but every time I boot up and in between my matches, I'll just hop out of queue and I'll hop into custom game rooms and just look and see if anyone's playing it.
I think they should have that, honestly, as a dedicated game mode, because it's so good in terms of what you can actually do, and it's there, you know, you don't have to worry about edge guarding. It removes a lot of the traditional platform fighter mechanics, but it also creates something that's new and fun.
Yeah, I was trying to, like, describe it to someone in the fighting game community that was asking me about Brawlhalla, and I can't really describe why it's more fun. Not more fun. It's a different kind of fun than like a traditional fighting game is. But being able to move
exactly why.
yeah, being able to move freely, or relatively freely, and not have like you have corners, but they're not like true corners where you just get stuck in the corner. You know.
Well, because in platform fighters and stuff like this, you have a dodge as opposed to just a block. And then, not to mention, your movement is so much better in platform fighters than it is in traditional fighters. I'm actually working on a video that talks about exactly this. Like,
oh, awesome.
In platform fighters, the biggest creativity factor that comes from it is your freedom of movement, and that's the core of how your character interacts with the environment, with the gameplay, all of that kind of stuff. And that's one thing that I really dislike about traditional fighting games is I feel like my movement is limited. The combo game is the primary focus of traditional platform fighters, which is fine. It's just a different focal point for a game. But I personally enjoy being able to move more freely than being as restricted. And I also love having a dedicated jump button. I hate having to flick up to jump or to press back or down or whatever to block. And just my personal gripes with traditional fighting games.
No, those are very fair. It's unnatural, I think. I mean, pressing up is relatively natural, but like holding back to block is kind of weird. Weird to get used to.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, like it makes sense from a physical standpoint. Like if I'm blocking a punch, I'm gonna lean back and put my arms up like you are in boxing or something like that. But it just doesn't
translate well.
Yeah, but I know that there are some of them. Like I was playing Strive or was it DNF Duel? I tried the DNF Duel beta, by the way. That was fun.
Oh, what'd you think of that?
I enjoyed it, but man, I needed a training mode. I needed a training mode so bad because I don't play FGC games, and this was something that I was like, oh, I absolutely need to learn how to move, and I just started playing, and I was like, oh well, I'm just gonna get my teeth kicked in, and then I tried to play with one of my buddies online, and trying to find each other in a queue was unbearable. You can't just like select play with friends. You have to go into the same lobby and then hope that it works, and it isn't.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion about that, and basically my conclusion was that they just wanted to test the network and make sure that they had a smooth product for either full release or the next beta.
Okay. Well, the netcode was great, honestly.
The netcode was phenomenal.
It was so good.
And yeah, I think the only time I really got dropped was whenever they were having actual server issues. But I'm hooked on that game. Like
it was fun.
The weekend ended, and I'm like, I want more. I need more. Who'd you end up playing?
I tried a couple of different characters. I tried them all at least once. I liked Grappler a lot, but I mean Striker was the main one that I ended up using. I like fast frame data and quick characters, and that's what she did, and that's kind of what I liked. I liked Grappler a lot too, though, so probably those two. What about you?
I was Inquisitor and Crusader.
Oh my god.
Join the Holy War. Let's go.
Oh my god. Dude, Crusader, he was something. Oh my god.
It was so fun, like being stuck in a corner and then throwing up a wall behind them, and now you're like, we're fighting in a phone booth. Let's go.
And I'm much bigger than you are.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you got me in the corner? Now you're in the corner.
Yeah, that was what my buddy was playing, and he just beat the hell out of me for like an hour and a half with that character. I eventually figured it out and was able to get around most of the stuff, but it's for a character that's that big and hits that hard, his combo game is insane. Insane.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I mean, it's slow. Like, you got to work to get an opener, but once you get it, you can carry a combo for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Anywho, this isn't a DNF Duel
back to Brawlhalla
podcast yet, but maybe it will be one day, hopefully.
I'm down. I'll join you.
So 2022 esports kicking off next week. The annual prize pool this year is $1.32 million.
Probably 50%
which
of
is
that going into Sandstorm's pocket.
Yeah, exactly. But that is insane.
That's-
like for a fighting game.
Yeah, the amount of support that Brawlhalla has from the developers is absolutely incredible, and I don't see any other fighting game have as much support from or direct interaction with the devs as Brawlhalla does. Though I think it's probably a reasonable comparison to make that this is probably a little bit closer to Fortnite in terms of their business model structure than it is to other platform fighters or FGC games.
Yeah, and I think that probably alludes to them being able to throw more money at it. Because
especially with Sorry, go ahead.
Every piece of content you release generates a massive amount of revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with being backed by a huge company like Ubisoft. Like it's, they've got pretty deep pockets.
What I like about that relationship or the business partnership is that Ubisoft doesn't make it too obvious that they're involved, other than Rayman being in the game.
You would have no idea if you didn't. I didn't know before I looked it up on the Wikipedia page. Like I had no idea.
No, because they could easily go slap their logo on all of the esports stuff and really use it to advertise their games and stuff, right? But they don't, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good relationship, and they largely just are like, hey, Brawlhalla, do whatever you want, and you pretty much have completely unlimited creative freedom with it.
No, it's great. I haven't really thought about it too much, why they do it this way, but I'm glad they do.
Yeah, I think it's very good for the community. Although it always does kind of make me laugh whenever everybody's like, "Oh, $1.3 million prize pool. That's so awesome," and stuff like that. And it absolutely is. I'm not taking that away at all. But it always makes me laugh because I'm like, yeah, you guys know that's only going to like 8 people though. Like, I mean,
yeah,
it'll be distributed over the world. Like it's going to be they have different regions obviously that are playing for different amounts of prize money and all that kind of stuff. But that'll only be going to the same people that we always see it go to.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of that way for any fighting game.
Yeah,
really.
no, it is, and that's totally fine. Like it's great to support them this much, and it's great to be able to give them the opportunity to build a career off of this game in a way that you can't in a lot of other games.
Yeah,
like
I'm glad
rely
it's
on streaming.
I'm glad most of the prize pool money is not like to invitationals. It's an open tournament, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like. I'm never gonna win, but there's a chance, right? I can enter
there's always
a
tournament. A chance, man. There's always a chance.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So you're saying there's a chance?
It's a non-zero chance. It's a non-zero chance.
Exactly. So they're kicking off with Winter Championship January 28th to February 6th. Are you planning on playing?
That really just depends on what I got going on. Work has been really busy lately, and we may be moving as well soon, so I'm still
nice.
trying to figure that out and balance it all. But I would love to be able to participate if I could.
As soon as next weekend? Are you moving as soon as next weekend?
No, I'm not. But oh no, it is that. Oh shoot, it is next weekend, isn't it? Oh crap. Okay.
Yeah, doubles is next weekend and singles is the following weekend.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I do have a proposition as well. Rox can't join me for 2v2, so would you want to play 2v2 if you're around?
Oh hell yeah, I'm down, man.
It would be awesome. We haven't played together at all.
No, we haven't. So I'm very down to give that a shot.
So yeah, we'll link up and see if we can make something happen and make it further than me and Rox typically do, which is 0-2.
Absolutely, let's get it.
let's get out of the 0-2 crew.
There you go. We'll go with the 1-2 crew.
Yeah, if I can win one, I'm happy. Like one is good enough for me. If I can win one in winners and one in losers, I'm even more ecstatic.
Yeah, 2-2 is a good. That's pretty good. I'm comfortable with that.
So other news items: Alpine bundle, Prime bundle is a Kaya skin. Pretty cool little skin.
I like that one.
I've been fortunate in that all of these Prime bundles, I have not had the skin or the emote or whatever else they give with it. So I'm making out pretty good.
I haven't had any of them. The only thing that I do like now is that with this Kaya one, Kaya was the only legend of the ones that they've had so far that I didn't already have unlocked. So that saved me some gold.
You don't have all the legends unlocked?
Nah, man, I'm saving.
Wow.
I only play a handful of them, and I can't. I hate playing Spear. I hate playing Rocket Lance. So most of the time, I don't even unlock those legends. Like, I only have Orion unlocked because he was cheap. So I pretty much exclusively play specific weapons, and I save up to get the color schemes that I like.
I didn't take you as a free-to-play player.
No, I have skins.
Yeah.
I
never opted for the All Legends pack.
Correct. Yeah. Because my philosophy is anything that I can earn in game, I will earn in game. So that's
all
just
right.
Because I unlock the characters that I like, I unlock the characters that I want to play, and that's where I go with it. But I did during the holiday though, I did purchase 2 of the Christmas skins that they have.
Oh, who'd you get?
I got the new Whiteout Nyx, which is so sick.
Yeah.
And then I got the Krampus Cross skin.
Krampus Cross. I every year I'm like, I'm gonna buy Krampus Cross, and I never do. And then like halfway through the year, I'll start playing Cross a little bit more. I'm like, damn it, I wish I had that skin.
I wish I had it. Yeah. And some of the holiday skins are the best ones for some of the legends. Like I bought the Jack-o'-lantern or the Headless Horseman Lucian skin. Yes.
Oh yeah, I bought that one too.
It's one of my favorites. And then I'm waiting for the spring holiday or whatever. I can't remember what they call it. But the Luck of the Brawl. I'm waiting to get
Luck of the Brawl.
Dullahan Jiro.
Dude, let me look at that one. I don't quite remember. I bought the Ku Seedhay Sentinel last year. Oh, that one's so good.
Yeah. That one's really sick. The Dullahan Jiro is the one where he doesn't have he's like headless.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah,
like
that's a good one too.
And I love the origin for that too. Like it's I love like that mythology.
Yes, yeah. That's a very underrated event. The colors aren't great on a lot of skins, but the skins are really good.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
All right, so one of the big topics this week is the balance patch.
Yep.
And there's a lot to discuss here. So typically what Rox and I have done in the past is kind of gone through and stumbled over what this means and how it impacts the weapon. But since I have you, the frame data daddy,
is that what I'm being called now?
That's what I'm calling you now.
Okay.
we had Barradipidus, who's the lore daddy, and then we had you, the frame data daddy.
You know what? I'm cool with that.
So I'm just going to start going down the list here and see. Let's see. We got changes to Axe, Hammer, Katars, Orb, Rocket Lance, and Scythe.
Yep.
So we'll start with Axe.
Yeah.
You have the balance patch notes up?
I do.
So the changes they made were to Axe Downlight, Axe Neutral Air, and Axe Down Air. And the only frame data changes were with the Downlight. Increased recovery time from 14 fixed 9 variable to 14 fixed 11 variable. And then on the neutral and down air, they just decreased the allowed acceleration during the attack, which I'm not really entirely clear on how much that affects Axe's game. But what? So here's a question for you, because I'm not entirely familiar. What does the variable mean on the frame data?
To be completely honest with you, that's something that I have been trying to figure out in a lot of ways as well. I think that might refer to the different hitboxes that actually make contact, or when it makes contact, or if it makes contact. And that's something that I've been trying to figure out for a long time, and it's never been very clear. But it does look like it's a recovery nerf, so I'm not complaining about it.
Is it a weird way of saying like on hit or on miss?
It might be. That, you know what? Let me look into that. Let me see if I can find anything about that.
So that's on the downlight, which is like the anti-air attack. Which downlight's a good attack, but I didn't feel like it's what made. Here's the problem with this axe nerf to me. I don't feel like
the big problem.
Yes, I don't feel like they addressed what needed to be addressed with why axe is strong.
I agree.
And maybe their thought process is what makes axe strong now is why axe is a thing. So let's change some stuff to make other aspects of it weaker, which is kind of a weird way to nerf.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because I feel like it's a very fine line between nerfing axe and making it no longer feel like a heavy weapon.
Yeah, it's an incredibly hard-hitting weapon, but it also has surprisingly decent frame data and surprisingly good mobility for a weapon that's that heavy.
Right. I think it's the quickness of it that really makes it good. And they didn't really change that. They,
No. It doesn't look like they did, because like the startup of all of the moves isn't that bad. Especially with given how large and sweeping the hitboxes are. And like the recovery time on them isn't that bad either. Like it's really, really not. And I don't think that the minor tweaks that they did to downlight are gonna change that.
No, and then are you familiar with what they mean by allowed acceleration?
So I think what that's referring to, I'm not 100% sure, but I think what that's referring to is the movement that they're allowed during the move. Because during certain attacks, your aerial momentum will either shift, stall, or completely halt. Like how whenever you're moving and like let's say you jump and do a Qatar side air, mm-hmm. your movement, your speed largely stays the same. But if you do for instance a side air with lance or something, your momentum is completely shifted to follow the path of that rocket lance, right? So I think that what they're basically saying is that whenever you're doing axe neutral air and axe down air, you have less. It kind of restricts your momentum a little bit. Like it's not, you can't just jump and throw it out as easily as you could before.
Oh.
I think that's what that's referring to. I'm not entirely sure, so I mean, don't quote me on it, but that's the thing that I make out of that.
So I would say,
and I think that is good because that does decrease the opportunity for follow-ups that Axe has. Like Axe has been broken in this metagame, frankly, and I don't think that this is going to fix that problem, but I think any nerf that we can get is something that's good.
Yeah, I'll take any nerf I can get on Axe.
Exactly.
Yeah, I kind of think that they're heading in the right direction with that decreased allowed acceleration on those two attacks, because it taking away some of the mobility of it will make it feel like a true heavy weapon. You can't have fast attacks with decent recovery that hit hard and good movement. Like you can't have all those things.
Right. I agree, and
we'll see how it shakes up.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that has made weapons like that so popular, is the fact that there's really not a whole lot of. I mean, there's obviously differences in terms of like frame data, but it's not something that needs to be as fast as it is.
Right. So next up was hammer. Changes to hammer neutral air, down air, and recovery. So neutral air decreased allowed acceleration during the attack. So it seems like their thought process on these was just these heavy weapons don't need to be.
Yeah, restrict some of the movement.
Yeah, which I agree with. Same with Axe. Down air, they decreased hit window from 13 to 11 and increased recovery time on miss from 3 fixed 18 variable to 4 fixed 18 variable. So I guess the on miss on hit for variable theory we had is not correct.
Might not be, but especially since that one's a command grab.
Yeah.
But I do know what they mean by hit window. So all they did there was essentially reduce the active frames on it. So down air on hammer has active frames from 11 to 23 for a total of 13. And they basically just dropped that down to 11. So I assume that means that the active frames are now going to be on frames 11 to 21 instead of 11 to 23.
That also would shorten the overall move itself by 2 frames.
Correct. So that decreases the amount of time that the move can actually hit, but they also did increase the recover time to compensate for that, it looks like. So
by 1 frame.
Yeah.
So
it's 1 frame shorter overall. So not much of a change. I think that I don't think that will be a huge factor in hammer, to be honest.
No, the big one here is the recovery, increased time to hit from 10 to 12.
Yep.
And I'm so happy about that because that move is very difficult to contest, and it's a guaranteed kill, pretty low if you hit it off stage.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that the Russian Mafia is still true, even with this nerf. So I don't think it's something that will absolutely kill hammer, but it's so hard to contest off stage, especially, and it makes it really hard to try and edge guard hammer at risk of getting reverse.
Oh yeah, I just actually with most weapons I don't, but especially with hammer, if you're off stage, I'm not following you. Yeah. Not a chance.
I try to follow as much as I can, to be honest, because it's the most fun way to play for me. So
I like ruining other people's gaming experience, so I know they want to play off stage, so I'm not going to give you that satisfaction.
That's fair. I don't. Whenever somebody's out there just like stalling on the ledge, I don't go out there. But if I knock somebody off stage, you bet your ass I'm following them.
I don't even do that.
I try to edge guard so much.
Fight me on the stage, you pansy.
Man to man.
Okay, so yeah, I think overall hammer, I like those nerfs. I don't think it's going to take it into the ground, but it'll bring it in line with where it should be.
Right.
So here's one I'm sure you are excited about, as
Thrilled.
I am.
I am thrilled.
Qatar buffs. So, if you recall correctly, I don't remember what got nerfed, but they nerfed something last year.
It was Sidelight.
Sidelight, and then they gave us a slight buff to Neutral Light. It just I don't even know if it was really a buff, but it made it easier to hit recovery out of if they didn't have a dodge.
Yeah, it was like true. A vertical alignment buff. Like they basically changed the knockback trajectory to be almost directly above you.
Right, which kind of ruined some characters like Enlight to neutral sig attacks.
Yes.
So
that didn't affect me as a Caspian main, but yeah.
Right. I don't know that that actually probably really helped you.
It did.
Yeah. So I think those, if you want to call that a buff, I don't think it was necessarily a buff. The nerf to Sidelight was really uncalled for last year.
I agree.
So I'm glad we got some buffs this time around. So they did changes to neutral air and down air. Looks like decreased recovery time on both and increased stun on the neutral air. So have you messed around with it at all?
I have. I've played it since the buff, and it feels pretty damn good, honestly. It feels really good. Like the down air, I feel like is significantly less, well, not significantly, but slightly less punishable than it was before, even though it's only a one frame difference. And I think the more that I read these, I think that the fixed versus variable frames, so fixed is the amount of recovery frames that you have no matter what. And then variable is, I assume, based on other factors. I'm not sure what those factors are, but so now, for instance, Qatar neutral air has no fixed end lag, or no fixed recovery frames. And then there are variable recovery frames based on whatever other factors. And I assume that recovery is probably based off of damage and stuff like that, or positioning. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
So fixed is the minimum amount of recover time, and then the variable is, whatever.
So this change to neutral air, I don't know if you've seen it, or done it, but it gives Katars a true 3-piece combo.
Which one is that?
So if you hit neutral air while like falling to the ground,
landing.
While landing. That's a better way of saying that. It's neutral air, side light, down light.
Oh, so you can essentially start the half pipe off of
from a neutral air.
That's great. That's awesome. Okay.
I haven't successfully landed it in game, but it feels good.
Yeah. Okay. I will definitely have to try that.
Yeah, it's a little it's a little bit of an unnatural situation to get yourself in, but if you can incorporate it into your gameplay, it'll open up some opportunities.
Right. That seems like a really good change. Well, at least for Qatar players.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. I've seen a lot of people complaining about it. They're like, Qatar didn't need a buff. I'm like, Qatar wasn't even that good.
it really wasn't like super prevalent in the metagame right now. Like, think about the characters that we've seen over the past, I don't know, year since they made those changes. It's primarily been a lot of Axe Legends, to be honest.
I think of the Qatar Legends, the only one you really see is Ember, and that's because she has bow.
Yeah, and I mean, you'll occasionally see a Suri, but, it's...
That's because she has sword.
Yeah, exactly. Or, oh shoot, who's the other one? Like, I'll occasionally see Sentinel, but he has hammer. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Qatars are never the reason you're playing a Qatar's Legend most of the time.
Yeah, unless you just play Qatars.
Yes.
That's a problem with the next weapon, Orb. So Orb got a nerf.
Didn't it get nerfed last patch too?
I think so. Yeah, I think it did, but I don't recall what it was. It wasn't very big. This one's not very big either, but it's like, why?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. So Orb neutral air, they decrease the damage from 14 to 12.
Not a huge difference.
It's not huge, but like, why? Like, neutral air is really, it's a good attack, but like, I never feel like I'm racking up damage with it.
Right. I think the primary goal, at least based on the text that they listed there, is to prevent the follow-up attack from knocking out quite as early in certain situations. But again, I don't know if 2 damage is going to be the deciding factor in that. But
it's almost just like a slap in the face, like, haha, Orb got nerfed. But we didn't touch bow.
And you're not even
sword.
You're not even the Petra main.
No, but I've been playing a lot of Orb recently.
Really? Okay.
A lot. I got my Reno up to 25 and my Fate to 25 and Dusk to like 23.
That is a lot of grinding.
Yeah, no, so when Street Brawl came out, I fell in love with Orb in Street Brawl. It has a combo off the wall of side light into side air, and then you can either gravity cancel a neutral light if you're far enough away from the wall, or gravity cancel a reverse side light, and it's true.
Wow, that's nice.
It's disgusting. And then the follow-up from that is, depending on where they bounce, you can follow up with a down air or a neutral air, depending on which attack you use.
That's pretty nice.
So I started playing Orb in Street Brawl and then carried it over to regular Brawl. Really enjoy Dusk.
Dusk is... I hate Spear. But I'm glad you're enjoying him.
I don't like his spear at all, really. Other than neutral sig, which is insanely fun to hit people with.
Yeah, I can't blame you. Any of those like command grab sigs, they're just so satisfying to hit.
Yes. But his orb, the down sig on orb, oh my god, it's so fun to hit people that are trying to get back on stage with.
Yeah, it's satisfying.
Yeah. I don't think, after I get him to 25, I don't think I'll really main him per se, but I'll bust him out when I want to play orb.
Yeah, I can't blame you. He looks fun.
So next up was Rocket Lance. Some much needed buffs, I think. So they changed Sidelight and Neutral Air. Sidelight got a stricter setup location logic that also gradually changes setup location based on the target's damage, similar to Gauntlet's Downlight. And Force was changed from 30 fixed 6 variable to 55 fixed 0 variable, so you're always getting the same Force. So Lance is kind of polarizing, right?
Very much so. I'm on the negative side of that polarization.
Yeah, I am too. And like, I feel like once you get to a certain level, past low to maybe mid gold, Lance really isn't too much of a problem, because it's kind of like a big knowledge check. Like, yeah. Okay, I can't dodge here, or I have to dodge this way to get out of it.
Yeah.
But then it just becomes a nuisance, right?
Yeah. It's more of a irritating weapon than like an actually good weapon.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like it's just like, oh, I have to fight against this. Because I think with like a lot of the other weapons, you're able to still kind of play your game the way you want to, and they play their game the way they want to whenever either one of you is in advantage state. With Lance, though, I feel like you can't do that as much. I feel like it forces you to play a specific way, and I'm never a fan of that.
I think it's because you and I both play guitars that we feel that way.
Probably so.
Because it completely changes how you approach with guitars.
Yeah.
You always have to come from the air as opposed to like contesting in neutral on the ground.
Yeah, because your hitboxes are always going to be out prioritized because of the disjoint.
Man, and then I've been playing Cannon a lot lately too, and Rocket Lance out prioritizes Cannon on the ground as well, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, the hitboxes on Lance are freaking ridiculous. They're so big.
Speaking of hitboxes, on Neutral Air, they slightly increased the threat area during the beginning and middle of the attack.
Yeah, just what we needed. Yeah.
I've been playing against a lot of Lance players since the Battle Pass came out, and it feels a little bit more intimidating, but it's not to the point of like feeling like I'm back to low gold and getting obliterated by it.
Yeah, my one thing that I think that it will probably play a larger factor in is, well, I mean, I think it'll probably help with juggling, first of all, and then I think that landing with Nair will probably be a little bit more viable of an option for conversions since the hitboxes are bigger. But
yeah, I think it's the way it was previously to getting, like, it got nerfed a couple patches ago, maybe more than a couple patches ago. And I think it'll make Nair more useful, as much as I don't want it to.
Yeah. But
I don't think it's going to be busted.
I certainly hope not.
Yeah. And then the last weapon they changed this patch was Scythe. They decreased the hit window from 6 to 5 on Neutral Air. You're kind of a Scythe player. What do you think?
I don't think that that's going to be a very big factor, to be honest. On Miss, Scythe Nair has active frames from 12 to 17, so now it's just going to have active frames from 12 to 16. I think it'll probably, it'll help people to avoid it a little bit more, because one thing about those Scythe aerials is they do linger for just a quick second, so it's like, this will probably help a little bit. I don't think it's going to kill Scythe in the slightest. It's a baby nerf. Like,
yeah,
it's not enough to change anything.
I like those nerfs for like like weapons like Scythe, because you could very easily make Scythe useless by doing one or two more things to it.
Oh, I agree.
But I Scythe is a weapon kind of like Lance, where it's like Lance for high golds and low plats, right?
Yes.
You really start, like, once you stop struggling with Lance, you'll start struggling with Scythe because people will start playing Scythe more.
Yeah, and it's one of those weapons that you really do have to, like, you obviously have to learn the matchup pretty well in order to just avoid getting caught in ridiculously elaborate loops. So I think that small changes like this, like you were saying, are the ones that are really good. Adjusting minor snippets of frame data until we get a nice, smooth, shiny surface and everything is nice and polished.
Yeah, I agree completely. So, of the weapons that didn't get touched, is there anything that you would have liked to see with this balance patch? Because, you know, we'll probably get a small one in the middle of the year, but we're probably stuck with this meta for most of 2022.
Yeah. Now, this is just a personal gripe of mine. I really, really, really wish they would change sword. Specific, like, and this is only for this one specific move. I really wish that they would adjust side light on sword, because side light on sword, the way that the rotation hitboxes work, like as they're swinging the sword and moving forward, the hitboxes go above them, behind them, and in front of them. So it's like it's a lengthy move that's incredibly punishable, but it does have built-in movement as well as hitboxes on essentially every side. So it's a hitbox issue that I really wish that they would adjust.
Yeah, so something of the nature of Lance Neutraler, like change the threat area, like decrease the threat area.
Yes, exactly. And not like entirely, just basically just remove the hitboxes above, like above the player, because that's one thing that I always hated, was the fact that it's like, oh, I can dash jump over this move. No, you can't. I'm like, but it's a side light. Why can't I dash jump over this?
Yeah, I haven't really I don't really play sword, and I don't really struggle against it too much unless the person's just really good with it. But it's one of those weapons that I feel like it has to be slightly better than average. And the reason is, I think it just needs to be like a relative counter to almost anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a good base weapon, and I mean that's evidenced by how many characters and how many players we see using sword. I mean, just think about it. You got Jae-Yun, you got Bodvar, you got who else we got? Hattori's pretty frequently used. Asuri, Koji, Val, Sidra. You know? Like,
yeah, and I don't. For most of those, I don't think like sword is the draw to them, but it's such a good secondary weapon.
Yeah, it's like Katars.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah, you don't see people just playing Sword Legend for sword, but you see them use the sword very effectively when they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish we would have seen a bow change, to be quite honest.
Oh, what would you have liked to have happen to that?
It has too many good kill options.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, down air kills, it's not super low, but it kills. You can kill off of recovery relatively easy. Side air hits pretty hard. And it's kind of like Scythe in that it really doesn't have a dead zone to it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, Scythe has like a dead zone directly above it, but and Bow has a dead zone. Where's Bow's dead zone? I mean, it's just better blasters.
Yeah, there's not, spacing on Bow is significantly easier than it is on blasters, to be honest. Hey, hang on, man. I'm sorry. My dog is freaking out. Give me 1 second.
Please stand by.
All right. Sorry, you can.
All right.
we
No
can-
worries.
we can
No worries.
We can cut all this little.
Well, I'll
bits
make
out.
Rox do that. It's right at the 50-minute mark, or we'll just give our listeners a little bathroom break.
There you go. There you go.
So that's all the changes to weapons. They also did some pretty decent changes to quite a few Legends signatures. I don't really care to talk about all of them per se.
Yeah, we can just go over the general concept of them if you want.
Yeah, so Ada's neutral blasters, pretty much a buff there. What does her neutral blasters look like? Is that the 3-shot?
Yeah, that's the one where she jumps upward and shoots the blasters downward three times.
So I think that's probably decent for her. I mean, Ada hasn't seen a lot of play.
Yeah, that's definitely a beneficial change. But honestly, I don't know if it needed that recovery buff given how much mobility that move has.
No, it's already a relatively fast move for what it is.
Yeah, it is. Although one interesting thing to note about that weapon or about that specific sig is that that only has active frames on 3 frames.
Oh, really?
Yeah, each shot is only active for 1 frame.
Wow.
Yeah.
So after looking at this and reflecting on a match I had yesterday, I played against this individual Wingway, who was apparently a BCX finalist 2021 yesterday.
Wow.
And they were playing Ada, and they just kept spamming the blaster's neutral attack. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And it's probably because they were trying to just get a feel of what it changed.
Well, I guess they found out. I hope.
Yeah,
they did anyway.
no, they completely obliterated me with it. I thought they were just BMing me, but maybe they were just testing it out.
It's an underrated sig. I think it's a slightly better version of Ember's down sig on bow, to be honest.
Yes, yeah, I would agree with that. Nash, they changed the recovery time on both neutral spear and neutral hammer.
Much needed.
Yeah, I don't. You know better than I do. I don't know that I really ever had a problem with Nash. So
I didn't either, but his SIGs do have quite a bit of mobility about them, and they're pretty decent on start. Yeah, and pretty decent on startup. So I think that a little bit of a little baby nerf like this one probably isn't going to kill him, but I think that it's probably a good idea to make some of those a little bit more punishable, just to, alleviate some of the potential spamming you might see.
I'd agree. Yeah, Nash players do tend to be kind of spammy.
I mean, I can't blame them whenever you've got SIGs like that, to be honest.
No, I can't either. Mordex, side gauntlet and down gauntlet got decreased force and some changes to frame data. Or wait.
Nope, purely
just
forced
force.
adjustments, which I also think is probably a good thing given how common he is in the meta.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is I don't think that a lot of Mordex players really utilize their SIGs effectively.
It's mostly Scythe, yeah.
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 But yeah, I agree. Anything to kind of take him down into an acceptable play rate.
Yeah. And see, that's honestly, that's kind of the problem with characters like this, is because whenever you have a character that has 2 really good weapons, and, both of those weapons have pretty consistent kill setups, your only option is either to nerf gauntlets or Scythe as a whole, reduce the force on gauntlets or Scythe as a whole, or to lower Mordex's attack. And, neither one of those is a particularly appealing option, especially whenever you've had them for so long. So it's just like, SIGs are really like the only individual aspect of a character that you can adjust without ruining worse characters or making other characters better, So it's just
it's a interesting concept that I've not really considered in balancing. But Yeah, so I think that is a really good way of trying to make Mordex more of a just to nerf him effectively, but you can't really change anything else other than the signatures. I mean, I don't think they've ever made like a stat change to anyone. Not that I think that's a problem with Mordex, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess in the future maybe they could change stats for a character. But other than signatures, you can't change a character that has 2 strong weapons unless you change the weapon.
Yeah, and that will impact other characters that could, and it could indirectly nerf worse characters. So it's just it's a hard game to balance for.
No, but I also think it's a relatively balanced game as a whole. So
I agree. I just mean like individual characters are harder to balance because oftentimes the problem isn't necessarily their SIGs. Like it is in some cases, but
Yeah. Well, in the next character's case, it was a problem. Moon and signatures
you got that
were
right.
So good.
They were, and they got nerfed to hell, it looks like. Maybe not that much, but increased recover time, decreased force on side bow, down bow, and down sight. All of those were very warranted in my opinion.
Very warranted, but also I don't see very many Moonins.
I don't either.
So it's kind of like, did you it needed to happen, but is it really affecting anyone that bad?
Yeah, fair enough. I got to play her for the first time like this week because she was on free rotation.
What'd you think?
I like her. I just I'm not a big fan of Bo. I struggle with Bo. I used to play Ember a lot. I used to really like Bo, but for some reason these days I can't get the hang of it.
I feel like Bo's because I had the same thing. I played quite a bit of Ember after my Queen Nai phase, and I really enjoyed Bo with her, and then I couldn't find a Bo that I liked other than hers.
Yeah.
Next character, Petra. Man, Rox is gonna have a heyday with this patch. I haven't got his opinion on it yet, so I look forward to doing that on the next podcast. But Petra's side gauntlets increased minimum charge time from 13 to 15. So little minor, very minor nerf.
Yeah.
Her side gauntlets are good, but
I think this was needed.
I didn't think so either. I think if you're touching anything on Petra, it should be neutral gauntlets.
I 100% agree. All of her other SIGs have so much startup, active frames, and end lag. I don't think they were like... I thought they were good SIGs, but I didn't think that they were broken enough to need nerfs.
I don't think... especially with the changes to Orb, like even though that was kind of minor too, like did Petra really need another nerf?
Yeah.
But here's one I'm excited about. Queen Nai. Neutral Katars. Decreased total recovery time from 36 to 24.
Jesus
That
Christ.
is massive.
That is a 12 frame buff, and I do not understand why they gave this to her.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Do you play Nai? Probably not because you don't like Spear.
No, and Nai is too slow for me to enjoy using her Katars, to be honest.
And that's why I think this was needed. That move, unlike probably any other move in Brawlhalla, completely leaves you vulnerable if you miss it. Mm-hmm. So much so that the only time I ever used it was, accidentally, which was quite often. Or if I was in the air, because it moves you up approximately, I don't know, probably 1.5 times the height of the character. So I would use it trying to catch people that were either at the top of the screen or that I thought were going to try to hit me with a recovery and whiff. So I tried to catch them on the end of their recovery.
Ah, okay.
And it left me in such a position that I wasn't punishable from the ground from a teammate. So
that's fair.
This combined with the Katar buffs, I'm excited to dabble with Nai this patch.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm not a Nye fan, but alright, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
It was needed, trust me.
Okay, fair enough.
Sir Roland, side rocket lance, increased momentum from movement, such as a dash. Side rocket lance, that's the one where he just pokes you with his little ghost knight thing, right?
No, that's the one where he goes. He stabs his rocket lance forward, and then it goes, and then he angles it upward.
Yeah.
For the second hit.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think Roland could do with a buff, but
yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think it was. I don't know if it was necessarily needed per se, but I don't think it hurts.
No, it won't. It won't break him. And then Ulgrim Neutral Lance. Let's see. Angle of knockback is now more vertical and consistent, and decreased forward movement during time to hit. Decreased minimum charge time from 11 to 10, so small buff there. And down lance, decreased total recovery time on miss from 25 to 22. Frankly, I think those are good.
They're decent, but frankly, I don't know why he needed them. Honestly, given the amount of play he's seen recently, especially with how good Axe is right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if this one was. I don't know if that was the play.
Combine that with the lance buffs, and his lance is actually probably in a really good spot.
Yeah, especially with the way that his down lance. That's the chainsaw one, right?
Yeah, chainsaw.
Especially with how good that one is, with how long it lingers.
Yeah. All right, I think that concludes patch notes. Now I would like to talk about Battle Pass 5, and we've gone an hour already. So let's just go with general thoughts on Battle Pass. So what do you think?
I liked it. I love the color scheme, to be honest. Blue's my favorite
Really?
color. Yeah, man. Blue's my favorite color. It does look kind of similar to...
I never would have guessed, Cobalt. I never would have guessed.
Yeah, who would have thought, right? But, I love the color scheme. It does look a little bit similar to some of the other color palettes that they have, but it's at this point, how can it not?
Right.
I can't imagine them doing another color scheme that's vastly different from ones that they already have available.
I like it on certain... It's going to be one of those colors that looks really good on a very few select skins.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I just kind of... When it first came out, I just went into training mode and just looked at everyone's skins with it on. And I found that it actually looks really good on a lot of base skins.
Really? Okay.
But not so much so on paid skins.
I see.
Which is okay, I guess. But then there are a few skins Isaiah's Ghost Ops or Special Ops, whatever it is, the one where he has the mask on.
Yeah.
It looks insane on that one.
Okay.
So there are a very few select skins that it looks really good on.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on Caspian right now, and it just looks okay.
Yeah. The thing about it is, unlike the previous skins or previous battle passes, I don't really know that it fits the aesthetic.
Yeah, I would have expected for a galaxy motif and a universe battle like we're seeing here. I would have expected something more along the lines of purple and black.
Yeah, exactly. Purple, black. It's something that goes better with the weapons. It doesn't match the weapons at all. And I thought the weapons looked phenomenal.
Right. I agree. I think the bow looks really good. The guitars look good. I didn't like the blasters. I thought those looked kind of weak, but...
Yeah, I won't ever use them, but I like the guitars a lot. They kind of look like a little spaceship.
Yeah, they do.
And the great sword looks really cool. The great sword looks awesome.
Great sword looks really, really good.
And
then I like the skins.
Yeah, the skins are really good this time. The Onyx one I love.
Yeah, that one's badass.
Just Onyx's skins were kind of lackluster in my opinion.
Yeah,
so for her to get a really cool Battle Pass skin, I'm excited about.
Yeah, she didn't really have a whole lot of good ones.
Orion's, I'm kind of on. Being the level 85 skin.
Yeah, I love the concept behind it, and I love the animation. Like, and I like how it looks, but to be honest, I feel like it's a little over-designed.
I agree. I think they could have done, like, a more mellow color palette, maybe. Like, I kind of wish it would have just gone for, like, a more Gundam look, because it's kind of got, like, the Gundam horn type thing going on.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish it was just more like Gundam color. If the color matched the weapon colors, I think that would have been really cool.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I do think that, like, the artwork for this was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, fantastic. Like, I cannot get over how good just the artwork for this was. And I like the Artemis progression skin quite a bit. I did like that one.
Yeah, okay, so speaking of the progression skin, so it was way too easy to get level 3.
Really? I didn't buy the battle pass, so I didn't know.
I already got it. So
wow.
The mission was KOs off the bottom with weapons that were thrown upward. So
okay.
Basically everyone in free for all was just like throwing their weapon up, and then someone would recover into it and then die. And yeah, it was tier 3 was only like tier 1 was get 3 of those. Tier 2 was like 10, and Tier 3 was like 13.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
So, yeah, I did it within the course of probably an hour.
Wow.
And then, and I still haven't even completed my Mordex one from last Battle Pass.
Jesus. Okay.
Which is it's because I don't play characters that have active input on signatures.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So, opposite of that, the podium progression. Tier 1, win ranked matches, 100 ranked matches.
What?
Yeah. I think Tier 3 is like 250.
Oh my god. Okay.
So I'm like, I don't know what they're trying to do, if they're trying to get more people to play ranked or whatnot, but one of the missions this week was win rematches, which you can only do in ranked.
Oh, that's what that... Okay, I was trying to... I couldn't... I thought that you could do that in, like, experimental and stuff, too, because I was trying to do that, and I was like, I guess I can't do it in experimental mode. Now that makes more sense.
I don't believe so. But in ranked, also, like, you can only request it if they're still on the stat screen. So if you play someone that, like, just immediately exits, you don't even get the chance to offer the rematch.
Well... Huh.
I'm actually halfway done with it. I had really good luck yesterday in 2v2s with it. If you like kind of sandbag a little bit and either lose or make it a close match, you can pretty much get the rematch.
Ah, fair enough. That makes sense. Everybody likes a good little challenge. And
yeah. But the emotes, I kind of like the emotes this battle pass. They're okay.
Emotes have always been like the least important aspect of it to me, because like I hardly ever use them unless I'm giving a nice little cordial greeting or something like that.
Yeah, I don't ever really use them. I really like the rock one, the energy of the universe, where the rocks are like floating around.
Yeah, that one's cool. Reminds me of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah. And then the not stargazing one, the telescope one.
Stock gazing.
Yeah.
That one's pretty funny.
The telescope, stock gazing. I really like. I'm not into emoting, but I want to use that with some signatures that like knock them up in that direction. Oh, it would be so good. That
would be pretty fun.
What else do we have? I don't really care too much for avatars. Those are kind of eh.
Yeah.
Sidekicks. I really like the space whale.
He's adorable. He's so adorable.
I like the space whale, and then I like the Vrax one.
Yeah, that one's pretty funny. Although
I guess it's not Vrax, it's a Zactari, which I'm guessing is his alien race. But
yeah, I still think like they had the Nightmare like Phantom Horse last battle pass or the one before it, and it's like that one's gonna be hard to top.
Yeah. I like the cutesy space whale, but I don't really pay too much attention to my sidekicks. Rox always yells at me whenever I have the base
Default.
the base sidekick.
Oh god, yeah, that's I don't know about that. See, that's the kind of mentality that the battle pass creates.
Yeah. And then the UI theme, I really like the theme. The sun and star cloud motif.
Black holes and all that good stuff.
Yeah. The level's really cool. The free-for-all level.
Yeah, that one's sick.
I really like that one. That's probably my favorite one that they've come out with for a level on battle passes. I think that's about it. Overall, I like the battle pass. I don't have any complaints really. I wish the colors were a little bit more inspired.
That's fair.
But it looks good on the skins that it looks good on, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah. I just hope I'm not gonna buy the battle pass, so I'm just really hoping for the random luck of the draw.
Do you ever buy a battle pass?
I bought the first season, and that was it.
First season?
Yeah.
Is that just you're not interested enough in any of it to buy it, or?
Yeah, it's like because.
You still grind out the missions, right?
Yeah, I do, and that's just because it gives me tasks to complete, and I find those enjoyable. But it's just like I hate. I'm actually making a video on battle passes as well, but I think that they demand too much of your time after it's something that you've already paid for. That's my problem with them. It's like I have to complete these within a certain amount of time after paying for it, so I'm forced to dedicate a certain amount of time to this if I want to capitalize on the investment that I've already made. So like I've already paid $10, but then I'm paying $10 to essentially get a list of chores to do, which I mean is fine. Like it can be fun and it can provide you more incentive to play the game, but this is just coming from somebody who has a full-time job, all of that kind of stuff. Like so it's like I don't have the same amount of time to play it in the way that I could have,
So yeah, I do get that. I've never really been one that's like against battle passes, especially I'm very against battle passes in games that are not free to play.
Yes.
I'm very against that. If I've already bought the game, like just make it DLC and I'll buy it if I want to.
And see, that's the thing. Like, it's crazy because, like, do you remember whenever, I think you and I are pretty close to the same age, but do you remember whenever we were kids and we would play a game and all of the cool stuff that you got in the game wasn't DLC and it was just stuff that you had to unlock on your own? Like,
yeah.
Stuff like that.
You'd unlock your characters by playing more, or you'd unlock a really cool weapon or costume for a character.
Yeah, exactly. And
just by playing.
None of it was DLC and none of it was... from a battle pass perspective.
Those were the days.
The golden age of gaming.
Yeah, exactly. So last thing today is topic of the podcast, and kind of excited about this because with the last time you were on was a special guest episode, so we just really had questions for you and didn't follow the normal format. So typically Rox and I will do a topic of the pod, just short little 15-20 minute discussion on something. And this one I'm very excited about to talk about with you. I wanted to talk about our best Brawlhalla ideas that will never happen. And that's a very vague, open-ended topic, so I'm curious as to what you've thought about. How many do you have?
I have about 5.
You got 5? All right, I'm letting you go first then.
Okay. Well, and I mean, a couple of them are just like little asks that I like could happen, but I just don't think will. Honestly, the biggest thing that I want from Brawlhalla, and this is so trivial, but I want this with all of my heart, is a regular show crossover.
Oh, regular show crossover?
Yes.
Is there a reason that couldn't happen? Like licensing or competitor?
I I don't think that there's a reason for that, but, and I mean, especially considering we already have Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Ben 10, we already have just a slew of Cartoon Network shows. I just don't think that it will I just get that vibe. I don't think that it's going to happen because somebody has already done a really, really well-made mod of Cross as Mordecai, and it was so good, man. Like the character model looked great. They also did Rigby for Taros. The animation on that one was a little bit not quite as good as the Mordecai one, but it was still really cool to see, and that's something that I really, really want, because like we already got Steven Universe and Adventure Time, and regular show was airing at almost the exact same time as both of those, so I feel like it just fits.
Oh, that would really round it out well. It would be so fun having Mordecai fighting Jake.
It would be, and like I would buy that skin frame 1, like 0 questions. Like that would be that's my most wanted thing, I think, in Brawlhalla. But if we're talking in terms of like mechanical and gameplay implementations, the biggest one that I would like to be changed is a weapon to disappear after thrown, if it makes contact with an opponent. So like if you throw the weapon, like no matter what happens, whether or not it hits the opponent or whether or not it goes off the stage, you can't pick it up again.
Okay.
And I know that specifically is a unique mechanic to Brawlhalla that a lot of people like, and having the ability to pick your weapon back up after throwing it down at an opponent. And I'm not gonna lie, it is fun to do. Especially like if I toss somebody off stage with Scythe, throw my weapon down at them, re-grab it, and continue the combo. It makes for a fun time. But it does annoy me sometimes in neutral, specifically whenever I am, I'm two people just kind of standing there playing a little bit of footsies, and then somebody throws their weapon at you, puts you into stun, and then re-grabs their weapon to continue a combo. So that's just something that I personally am like, I don't know if I quite like the mechanic.
So you want it to go away completely, like not throw it.
Yeah, not weapon throwing, just the ability to pick it back up.
Yeah. What if they decrease the time that you have to pick it up?
That would be an acceptable solution.
I don't know how many frames it's active. Do you, by chance?
I don't. It's a while though. So
I think it's a little too long, honestly.
Yeah, I think it would be an acceptable solution. I think that would be fine. That's more of like a personal little nitpick gripe that I've got with it, but I don't think that that's something that they would do, since that's such a core fundamental mechanic of the game. Yeah. And then
if you're like full map distance away, you shouldn't be able to throw it and pick it up.
Yeah.
If you're within risk of being hit and you can throw it at them and pick it back up, I think that's acceptable.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll concede and agree on that one. That would be a minor nerf that I think would be reasonable.
That would be interesting. I don't know that they've really made a change to the throwing.
I don't think that they have. And if they have, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, but before I was playing.
Yeah. So my next one, and I'm betting you already anticipated this one, but would be a complete redesign for dexterity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm sure you have ideas on this. What do you want you want dexterity to change as it is, or like replace it with something else?
See, here's the thing with dexterity is it's not applied uniformly across the cast, and it's not applied uniformly across all moves. There are some weapons where dexterity has little to no value, and there are some where it matters significantly. And really, there are only a couple. Like there's I think 3 or 4 weapons total, maybe, where having like really high dexterity is beneficial, and those are katars, bow, maybe sword. You could make an argument for, but certainly
probably orb to a degree.
Yeah, maybe orb. I would have to check what my frame data on that one was, but like for weapons like cannon, gauntlets, scythe, a lot of those weapons have very little variation in their ability to play based on dexterity. So like if you look at some of the top legends like Mordex, he has he has a low dexterity and he's frequently run on a lower dexterity stance because dexterity just doesn't impact gauntlets or scythe. And
right.
I think that's something that's kind of limiting on certain characters, because it impacts their ability to be slightly more beneficial in other stats. It could prevent them from dying as early with a defense buff or anything like that because they have 2 extra points in dexterity versus something else. So my personal change for it would be a uniform application of it to all weapons in some way that makes sense, because I haven't given it enough thought to where I've come up with a foolproof plan for it or anything like that, but it definitely does need some alterations because certain weapons are almost unplayable on lower dexterities. Like if you run Katars on really low dex, it's not as enjoyable or not as easy to string together combos. And then there are other weapons where having higher dexterity is a complete hindrance to the character. Like, my biggest problem with it is that it's not uniform. That's my biggest problem with it.
I would agree, and I think the other aspect of it is it's not clear what it impacts or whether it's useful or not, right?
Yeah.
Like strength. Okay, I know if I take strength stance, I'm going to do more damage. Now, does it really matter how much more damage I'm doing? No, I just know I'm doing more.
Exactly.
Conversely, with defense, you're going to take less damage. Speed, you're faster. You can feel that. It's not clear with dexterity what you're missing out on if you don't have this much dex with this weapon.
Exactly, and especially considering certain moves dexterity doesn't impact them at all.
Right. Whereas others, you have to have a certain amount of dex, or else you lose accessibility to that combo or that string.
Exactly. So that's my primary problem with it, and that's the thing that I think that I would change the most about it.
I agree completely. I think we're long overdue for some change to dex. I honestly kind of just wish they would get rid of it and introduce a different stat.
I agree. I could deal with that for sure.
But that would just require, you'd have to either like rebalance stats on certain legends. I don't know. It's a bigger issue than I have brains for.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. Like, because you're involving the ending recovery frames of every character. So it's a complicated problem.
Very much so. Very much so.
My next one was fixing the hurt boxes of the characters. Check your Discord. I'm about to send you a message. It's primarily the fact that the character animations don't always line up with the hurt boxes that they're actually displaying.
Right.
And if we want to put this image up on the podcast or something like that, just to display it, it's just this kind of thing is what drives me nuts. And this, like, it doesn't happen all that often, but it happens often enough to where I think it could definitely use an alteration, even if that was just giving the characters a head and a body hitbox, something like that. Right.
So because I know Rox is going to forget to put this image up if I tell him to. Basically, it's Magyar hitting the hitbox of the greatsword is on Diana's hat, which extends above the hurt box, because the hurt box is just a circle over the center of her body. And it looks like it should hit, but it does not, because the hat doesn't have a hurt box.
Yeah.
I think this would be a pretty easy fix, because all the characters have the same base size, right?
Correct. And that would be a really simple change.
Yeah, if you just took the I say it would be simple, but I know there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
If you just took for instance, the random silhouette model and turned that into a hurt box, it would fix most of the problems.
Yes.
But it would also probably break some other stuff.
Yeah, it probably would. And I know that there's a lot that goes into that, especially considering every character has different signature animations, and having to adjust that to match up with all of those would be a very long endeavor. But I think that it's something that would be beneficial for the health of the game. But like, this is probably just more of a nitpick than it's worth, because Brawlhalla functions pretty well in a general sense.
I agree. It's not like game breaking. It's just kind of frustrating. I think it's frustrating because it's not clear to people who don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, you and I, we know why it doesn't hit.
Yes.
But someone who's not familiar with fighting games, hasn't really experienced, any other fighting games, doesn't know to go in and turn on Hurtbox and be like, oh, okay, that's why it didn't hit.
Yeah.
It's just like, it doesn't feel like it worked like it should, but it does work like it should.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we'll see in Brawlhalla 2 in 10 years. I don't know.
Maybe so. And then my last change, this one's very simple. It's just removing Lance entirely from the game.
Wow. I mean, I don't know that we would be missing out on much if Lance wasn't there. I truly feel like, the Lance players would be frustrated, but also, like, no one else would really care.
Yeah, I agree. and I mean, this I'm largely kidding, but I would not mind if it did happen.
If we can't get rid of Lance, can we at least bring back the old Lance? What was it, side air, where they like hang on to it?
Yes, I'm down for that.
Just make it more goofy. Like, it's too try-hardy and serious right now.
Yeah, I agree. For such a goofy weapon.
So that's your those are your 5 changes.
Yep, that's the one.
I lost count. All right, so I have a different approach to my Brawlhalla ideas here. So my first one is earnable refunds.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, so you get 3 refunds for the entirety of your Brawlhalla career.
Right.
And I don't want it to be like, detrimental to BMG's profit margins. But I feel like you should get more refunds at some time. Because, like, early on I refunded a skin, and it's like, I would have still liked that skin, and I'd like to be able to refund something different now.
Yeah.
So, my thought process here is there's some way to earn them in game, and a couple of ideas. So, one, give a refund for X amount of mammoth coins spent. So, say you spend 1,600 mammoth coins, you get a refund out of that.
Right. I think that's a really good implementation, honestly.
Whatever number you decide on, it could be $100 worth of mammoth coins. I don't care. Just give me one refund out of that.
Yeah.
And then the one that I actually really liked, because right now I don't see any incentive for it, is completionist reward for the battle pass. So right now you just get kind of a lame non-animated avatar if you complete it.
Right.
And it's like, okay, it's cool because I did it and I earned something, but I think you could do it for both the free track and for the paid battle pass. If you complete the battle pass 100% all missions, you get a refund.
I think that's actually a pretty reasonable thing.
Yeah, it doesn't have any logic to it. It doesn't really make sense to offer a refund for that, but like I thought of that as a way to give someone a refund.
Well, I mean, especially considering, like, some of the things that you could be refunding are things that you purchased with in-game currency. Like, right. You can refund a legend, for instance, if you bought them with gold. And
yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, there's certain legends that, like, I've bought black on a legend, and I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I spend 25,000 gold on that?
Yeah.
Anywho, that's just my first one. Just a little reward,
Yeah.
Give me a refund. So a problem I've always had, this is my second one, a problem I've always had with character progression is that after 25, there's really no incentive to level up your character.
True.
So, like, either just make 25 max level and they don't level up after that, or give us some incentive. And I thought of an incentive for level 100. So if you get a character to level 100, you unlock a palette editor for that character. And you get the ability to create one custom palette for that legend.
That is a brilliant idea.
So obviously it would have to be well thought out, and you'd only be able to have certain colors for primary, secondary, and tertiary, or however many different colors they have on a skin. But you get the ability to create one color, whatever you want it to be.
That would be incredibly cool. I really love that. I really love that idea. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm just like, man, it would be awesome if I could just make Fate with like purple and like pink and black or something.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That's actually something that they do in Rivals of Aether, is give you the option to create custom colors for your character.
And it doesn't break the game, but they allow you to do it like, just in general, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't even have to
use it.
Because there's not really character progression. There's not character levels in Rivals.
Right. So, I don't know. I thought it was incentive, and then you see this really cool color that someone's playing with. You're like, oh, snap. I'm playing a level 100 Barraza or something,
Yeah. That's such a good idea. I love that.
BMG, hire me.
Yeah, dude, for real. Like, because, and it's just, that's so funny that we're thinking about this in two very, very different ways. Like, I was thinking about almost entirely the mechanical applications of it, and you're thinking, like, not entirely, I don't know your other ones yet, but, like, you've thought mostly about like visual and user interface kind of stuff, and it's blowing my mind right now.
All right, so this last one I think is going to blow your mind as well.
Okay.
Okay, so you've played certain other fighting games. Are you familiar with Tekken?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, and it's going to bug me really quick, so let me look it up. Sorry for the typing. Mokujin, the wood guy, he's a mimic character, so like he doesn't have his own fighting style, and like whenever you pick him, it's like random, right? You get someone else's fighting style, but you're Mokujin, and you look like the wood tree guy. Well, he's not a tree, he's just a wood guy.
Right. Fighting dummy, essentially.
Yeah. So, there's this concept or archetype of character in fighting games called the mimic character. And people are always complaining about, oh, well, I want this weapon combination to happen. I want Scythe Guitar, or I want Orb Cannon.
Scythe Guitar, that's me.
Yeah, that's you. And Orb Cannon's me. But it will probably not happen soon, right? Depending on what Legends release and where they're at with, like, how long it's been since the last weapon came out. And any introduction of new weapons, right? That completely changes things on when you could get a certain weapon combination. So what I want is a new random character that has any combination of weapons that doesn't currently exist. So you don't get to pick the weapons, but you queue it up and it will just give you 2 random weapons that don't currently exist as a current combination.
That would be really good. I think that would be a really good idea for a Brawl of the Week too.
That or a Brawl of the Week. So this player or this character obviously wouldn't be playable in ranked or tournaments because it's not really fair. And as far as signature kits go, I think they would have their own like animations, but the signatures would be based off of a current legend. So, like, for instance, Sword would always be Bodvar's type signatures. It would just have a different animation.
Okay. But and this would only be for weapon combinations that don't exist?
Correct.
Huh.
Okay, so you can't get Sword Hammer, but you can get Sword Orb. And then once the character releases that has that weapon combination, it gets removed from the pool of possible combinations.
So what happens whenever all of the weapon combinations have been filled?
You just make whatever the last one is this character, and they're stuck with you come up with some cool lore as to why they got stuck with this weapon.
Oh, okay. That's
weapons.
actually really interesting. I like that.
I just made up that last part because I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, so I don't know. And I think it just gives a fun way for people to play with that combination that they've always wanted, or try out a combination that, you know, they're like, oh wow, these two weapons are really cool together.
I think that's a good idea. I like that one quite a bit.
Awesome. So yeah, I have two.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that for just a second though.
Go ahead.
I think something else that would be really interesting is you know how like they have like the morph mode that's like you get random, it's like you pick 3 characters and then their signatures get like swapped around.
Yeah.
I think it would be a good idea to have a Brawl of the Week where you pick the legend and then you pick their 2 weapons and then you pick you pick their 2 weapons based off of like another
Someone's
character.
signatures.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, I want to play Bodvar because I like his stats, but I want Jiro's sword and then I want Scarlet's hammer or whatever.
So it's like competitive morph almost.
Yeah, exactly. That, and I think that would be a really good idea for, you know, just just like a Brawl of the Week queue. And it would give people the opportunity to see how 2 weapons would work together.
Function together.
Yeah, like especially ones that don't exist yet. Like I would love to be able to have Jiro and then, you know, throw on Caspian's Katars on top of that.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. All right, so I'm going to cut the last 25 minutes and send it to BMG as part of our application.
I'm very okay with that. Let me know what they say. I'll send over my resume.
I have nothing else to bring to the table other than ideas. Anywho, that completes pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Sounds like you have a couple of things going on. Would you like to shout out any of your upcoming projects?
Well, the next video that I'm going to be making is focusing specifically on movement in gaming and why I think that that's the most important aspect of gaming in terms of your interaction with the world and with the environment and stuff like that. And then after that, I'm working on, this one's gonna take me a little while just because there's a lot of data to go through, but I'm doing the strongest signatures in Brawlhalla. So
Ooh.
What signatures kill the earliest, side sig, neutral sig, and down sigs. And then after that, I might be doing some indie game reviews. We'll see.
Indie game reviews.
Yeah, man.
Are you have you done any reviews on your channel?
I did actually my most popular video is a comparison between Rivals of Aether and Brawlhalla, and that's a pseudo review.
Sort of review, yeah.
Yeah, but I've never done any like strictly dedicated review videos. I'm thinking about it. I might just make a new channel for it. I'm not sure.
What indie games do you have in mind?
Oh, I've got like 14 or 15 of them that I've queued through that I played through and I love because the Switch is so freaking accessible. It's made it great. But like Night in the Woods, Celeste, A Short Hike, Hades, Downwell, Cuphead, Katana Zero. That's one of my favorites. Journey, Hollow Knight. There's a lot. I've got like 14 of them.
So a lot of single player indie games.
Yeah, I like having a single player experience that's more focused on like story. Like anytime I'm playing like multiplayer, I just want it to be raw, quick, action paced gameplay.
You and me both. I could care less about. There's some cool lore in the game, but I could care less about it. Just let me get into queue and roll with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that because I like indie games, but I don't play them. So being able to just hear someone talk about it would be really cool.
Well, thank you. I hope they turn out well. I'm in the process of writing the scripts for all of them right now, so might take me a little while.
And where can everyone find you at?
That would be on my YouTube channel, and that would just be at youtube.com/channel/Cobalt777.
Excellent. All right, Cobalt, I appreciate you coming to hang out. For all the Gravity Cancel listeners, this is kind of a one-off episode, but I would like to, in the future, get you onto the balance patch ones for sure, because you offer something that Rox and I don't.
Well, yeah, anytime, man. I appreciate you guys having me. I'm always more than happy to come and chat with you guys. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much for coming. And then everyone, be sure to check out episode 20 of Gravity Cancel. We had special guest episode number 4 with Sparky, everyone's favorite commentator. And be sure to check out Gravity Cancel Showdowns. We got a couple more episodes left of that, and then we've got to find something new to fill in that void. So, till next time, peace!